Hey everyone, welcome to Cruise Blog. This is Angie, and today I'm going to talk about the do's and don'ts of a Carnival cruise. Let's get started. Whether you're seeking a short Caribbean getaway or a cruise to the last frontier, there are plenty of opportunities to experience unforgettable moments at sea on one of Carnival's fun ships. Even if you're a devout Carnival cruiser, there are some do's and don'ts to keep in mind when planning your cruise to help you make the most of your time on board and minimize pre-cruise stress. First, do book your Carnival cruise through a travel agent. Travel agents are valuable resources. Whether you're stuck between an itinerary, have questions about what's included in your cruise fare, or want advice on a cabin location, they're your go-to expert on all things Carnival. They have access to exclusive rates, too. So, in addition to their expertise, they may save you money on your upcoming cruise. Next, don't skimp on accommodations. Speaking of cabins, just because inside cabins are the cheapest doesn't mean they'll meet your needs. While they come with the same standard amenities as ocean view and balcony staterooms, they lack natural light and tend to be the smallest cabins on board. If you've been dreaming about sipping coffee on your private veranda while pulling into port, an inside stateroom may disappoint you. Depending on your priorities, booking the cheapest stateroom isn't always the solution. Sometimes it's best to save up for your dream trip rather than settle for a less satisfying experience. Next, do understand what is and isn't included. Carnival cruises are not all-inclusive. There are plenty of opportunities to rack up a high onboard bill, from specialty restaurants to drink packages, Wi-Fi, shore excursions, spa treatments, and more. Of course, add-ons aren't a requirement. It's possible to have a great cruise vacation and skip certain extra expenses. For example, rather than splurging on a drink package, many cruisers find that they're content with paying for their drinks as they go. Additionally, vacation is a time to disconnect from reality, so rather than purchasing Wi-Fi for everybody in your travel party, you can buy a single package and rotate devices, allowing everyone to check in on friends and family back home for a fraction of the cost. By being mindful of your budget and knowing what add-ons you're interested in, you can enjoy your cruise without breaking the bank. Next, don't assume you have to sail on the newest ships in the fleet. Carnival operates a fleet of 27 ships, ranging from the tiny Carnival Elation to the massive Carnival Jubilee. Whether you're looking for a getaway on some of the newest ships at sea, or a no-frills experience on one of their older vessels, there's the perfect Carnival ship for everyone. Before making any decisions, research each class of ship as they offer a different experience. Though some cruisers prefer to sail on ships with state-of-the-art amenities, others seek vacations that visit unique ports of call. Next, do complete the online check-in. 14 days before your cruise, you can complete the first step of Carnival's check-in process. This is where you'll input your documentation and credit card information for your onboard expense account, as well as select an arrival time. You should write the date check-in opens on your calendar or create a notification on your phone to ensure you can complete it as soon as possible, snagging your ideal arrival time. The earliest times are the most desirable, so if you want to be one of the first guests on the ship, do not wait too long. Otherwise, you may have to kill time sitting in your hotel's lobby. Speaking of check-in, once the online portion is finished, you can download your boarding pass. Though a bit archaic, Carnival requires all passengers to have a physical copy of their pass on embarkation day, rather than save a mobile version to their phone. Forgetting this crucial step will delay your boarding process. Next, don't fly into your embarkation city the day your cruise begins. If you're like me, you don't live within driving distance of South Florida's cruise ports. Even if you think your same-day flight is scheduled to land with enough time to get to the terminal, keep in mind that you have to deplane and collect your luggage before you hop in a taxi or rideshare. Plus, traffic is just as unpredictable as air travel. Regardless of whether you're departing from Fort Lauderdale, Miami, Southampton, or Seattle, arriving the day prior helps ensure a stress-free embarkation process. Next, do complete the muster drill. Gone are the days when Carnival passengers had to meet at their assigned assembly station at the same time. Instead, guests can now visit their station on embarkation day at their leisure. While I recommend completing it as soon as possible, some passengers prefer to grab a bite to eat at the buffet or explore the ship first. It must be done before you sail away, though. Guests who fail to complete it will be hunted down by crew members. There will be plenty of announcements reminding everybody to visit their assembly station, so you cannot claim that you forgot. Next, don't forget to check your travel documentation in advance. While not every itinerary requires guests to have a valid passport, cruise lines recommend passengers have one when traveling. However, those traveling on a round-trip sailing from a U.S. port can board with a passport or a government-issued photo ID and proof of citizenship, such as a driver's license and birth certificate or certificate of naturalization. Passengers on one-way Alaska or Caribbean voyages will need a valid passport, as well as those embarking in an international port of call. Rather than assume your passport isn't set to expire for years, it's best to check the date to ensure it's valid at least 6 months after the end date of your cruise. Next, do understand how Carnival's gratuities work. In addition to the base cruise fare, you must pay port fees and gratuities, which are tips for the crew members. If you do not prepay them, they will be automatically added to your sail and sign account on the cruise. Gratuities are divided amongst the hardworking crew members on board, including cabin stewards, the dining and culinary staff, and others. While you can technically have the daily rate adjusted at guest services, it's not recommended. If you wish to have them removed, it's advised you tip crew members in cash. Next, don't smuggle prohibited items on board. Packing for a cruise differs from packing for a land-based vacation. Since you won't be minutes from the nearest convenience store, you must pack everything you'll need, from over-the-counter medications to shampoo and conditioner. There are some everyday items you cannot bring on board, including steamers and irons. If you try to bring a prohibited item on board, it will be confiscated. Attempting to smuggle an illegal substance on your cruise could result in being denied boarding or kicked off during the sailing. Next, do purchase travel insurance. Though nobody wants to think about their long-awaited vacation being interrupted, life does happen. Unexpected events, such as the sudden onset of an illness or flight delay, can impact your cruise, making travel insurance necessary regardless of whether you're going on a 3-night cruise or a 14-night getaway. A good policy will cover travel and baggage delays, emergency medical coverage, onboard medical expenses, trip interruption, and more. Next, don't forget to purchase add-ons in advance. Planning a cruise can be just as exciting as setting sail. Not only do you get to decide on your shore excursions, but you can also book add-ons like drink packages, spa treatments, Wi-Fi, specialty dining, and more through Carnival's online planning portal. Booking add-ons in advance is the best way to save money and ensure plenty of availability. If you wait until on board to reserve excursions, you may find that the most appealing tours are sold out. Similarly, you'll pay more for Carnival's Cheers drink package, as passengers who take advantage of their pre-cruise discount will save 10%. Next, do expect busier ports. Nassau reported that it welcomed over 4 million cruise passengers in 2023. In late December, there were 29,316 guests in port from 6 vessels, breaking the previous record set in February 2023. Nassau isn't the only cruise port seeing record-breaking numbers. Also in December, the Dominican Republic set a new single-day record with 27,313 passengers arriving at the Amber Cove and Tano Bay ports on December 19th. These milestones highlight the growing popularity of cruises, with Carnival gearing up for the debut of their newest private island in the Bahamas. Though it won't open to guests until mid-2025, they have already announced the addition of a second pier, allowing up to 4 Excel-class ships to simultaneously dock at Celebration Key. Next, don't expect your ship to be empty. The demand for cruising is hot, so much so that cruise lines are running out of inventory further in advance than in the past. Though crowds are inevitable on a cruise ship, venues and strategically planned activities help keep passengers spread throughout the vessel. Next, do remain flexible. From canceled shows to missed ports and fully booked specialty restaurants, remaining flexible is key on a cruise. Sulking because of circumstances outside of your control will cause you to have sour feelings about your hard-earned vacation. Instead, make the most out of your time on board. If you're missing a certain port of call due to inclement weather, use the money from the refunded shore excursion to book a spa treatment or specialty dining experience. Next, don't forget to pack over-the-counter medications. Whenever I am packing for a Carnival cruise, I include my mini pharmacy. It's filled with everything from over-the-counter pain relievers to cold and flu medication, eye drops, band-aids, cough drops, seasickness medication, and more. I never want to rely on the ship's inventory, especially knowing that they likely won't have my preferred brand on board, and what they do have is overpriced. Next, do step out of your comfort zone. If you've sailed to the Bahamas more times than you can count, consider expanding your horizons and cruising somewhere new. Those cruising to repeat ports should opt for a new excursion. You can also try new experiences on board, from cooking classes to dance lessons and all-access tours. In short, do not be afraid to step out of your comfort zone on your next Carnival cruise. You never know what you'll end up loving. Next, don't wait until the last minute to book airfare. Those who don't live within driving distance of their cruise port will want to purchase airfare as soon as possible, as flight prices increase as the departure date inches closer. Even if your cruise isn't until mid-2025, it's never too early to start thinking about airfare, as most airlines release new schedules about a year in advance. Next, do select your ideal dining preference. When booking your Carnival cruise, all guests must choose between traditional or anytime dining. If you select anytime dining, you will check in via the Hub app when you're ready to dine, and they will let you know when you've been assigned to a table. This option is ideal for those who want a bit of flexibility with their dinner plans. As with traditional dining, you will go to your assigned dining room at the same time every night. Choosing the wrong dining time or preference can impact your onboard experience. Even if you know you want the convenience of having an assigned table, you'll have to choose between an early and late option. You cannot swap between the two in the middle of your cruise. If you make a selection that you are not happy with, you must contact your travel agent or Carnival as soon as possible. Next, don't assume the ship will wait for you in port. While you can save money on excursions by booking through independent parties, those worried about being left behind are better off reserving tours through Carnival. Ships operate on a tight schedule, so if your all-aboard time is 5 o'clock, you'll want to ensure that you're on board a few minutes before 5 to be safe. If you arrive after, you may not be permitted to board, even if the ship is still docked. Guests who book excursions through Carnival are guaranteed to make it back before the ship's departure. If your tour group's arrival is delayed, the ship will wait for you, and Carnival will cover all associated costs if the ship has to leave, so you can meet the vessel at the next port. Next, do look forward to Family Feud Live. Carnival Cruise Line became the first cruise line to debut Family Feud Live at sea when Mardi Gras entered service in 2021, and now the company is rolling out the experience on other ships in the fleet. According to Chris Nelson, the Vice President of Entertainment for Carnival Cruise Line, Family Feud Live is such a fun and unique entertainment option because guests get into the action and participate in the same way they've watched the game played on TV. Building on its popularity by bringing it to more ships will ensure that most of our guests get to experience the fun and friendly competition of Family Feud Live. Next, don't wait until you're home to resolve issues you had on board. If you notice a discrepancy on your onboard account, don't wait until you're home to contact Carnival. Instead, visit guest services as soon as you can. They'll ensure that your concern is promptly addressed. If the issue arises in the middle of your cruise, it's best to carve out some time to visit guest services the same day, rather than waiting for the last night or embarkation morning, when the line will be significantly longer. Next, do expect higher fares. With the demand for cruising at an all-time high, you should expect the overall cost of a Carnival cruise to be more than what you've paid in the past. According to the company's first quarter revenue report, continued strength in demand drove ticket prices higher. Plus, they achieved considerably higher prices than last year on first quarter booking volumes, having entered 2024 with less inventory remaining for a sale. Also, effective July 1st, 2024, the advertised price of a Carnival cruise must include the current taxes, fees, and port expenses. Though it will make the cost of the sailing seem higher, it's meant to provide passengers with a clear price upfront, rather than leaving them surprised by additional fees during later stages of the booking process. In short, this change will mean you won't see a cheap cruise advertised for $200 anymore. Lastly, don't be a chair hog. Chair hogs are far too common on warm weather cruises. These passengers will leave their belongings on one or more chairs on the Lido deck to reserve them for later use, rather than lounging on them at the moment. Perhaps they'll wander to the Lido marketplace for breakfast, or return to their cabin for an extra hour of sleep. Don't contribute to the issue. You don't like it when guests hog chairs, so be courteous and mindful of others by reserving chairs only when you're actively using them. Alright, there you have it, the do's and don'ts for a Carnival cruise. When is your next Carnival cruise? Let us know in the comments below, and while you're at it, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel so you can be notified every time we have a new video. Thank you so much for watching, and we hope to see you again soon.